I think I went through a friendship breakup about 2 years ago. It was so hard for me.
Mm,
It was really, really hard for me because I just felt that sense of guilt.
mm.
I felt like
You were the one that detached, or was it kind of like it was just
I think the
happening?
more the Lord revealed to me, it was just like I don't want to be in this kind of friendship.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I just don't want that, right? But it's also hard for me because I felt like I was the friend they needed in a sense that like faith,
mm,
like your praying friend, your I was I wanted to do what the king of Israel couldn't do. You know what I mean?
mm,
In some sense, and I feel like they were leaning on me, like Naaman, like they
mm.
depended on me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a particular passage of scripture where Jesus goes to, I can't remember the city, but they want him to heal, they want him to deliver, they want
Mm-hmm.
him to, he's like, I can't do it here.
Mm.
And and it's so funny. Every time I think about that passage, I can't remember exactly where it is right now. I think about how so often times it's not that we're incapable or we don't want to be that to people, is that we don't have to be that to people who do not value what God has placed in
Yeah.
our lives, right?
Yeah.
They always devalue it. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. Um, and Jesus didn't exclude himself from healing, helping, and
Yep.
saving anyone, but he just knew that he couldn't even operate in that space because of the beliefs that people had about him, right? And sometimes people can believe you for the positive thing and then hate you. They'll create this narrative, and not even a negative thing. They'll just create this narrative around you. And even though I don't like that you the savior, I still want you to heal me. Does that make
Mm.
sense? I can't stand that you are like, I can't stand that it's you, but I still want, but since you got the ability, and like when I say
We. What is
I
that?
don't get it, I don't get it, I don't
Cause,
get
cause
it.
I don't know why, but I understand exactly what you're saying. Like
Uh-huh.
I know that
Yeah, yeah,
you really don't even like me.
exactly. But
You
you
don't
like
like,
this
but you
about me.
like what I carry.
Mm-hmm.
You like what I can do for you,
Absolutely.
and not in the sense of do for you, like physically do for
And then
you,
you want to
but
hold me bound to do it because you know my relationship with God, and you know that I'm a believer, and so you want to make me bound to, in some sense, like not bound to my belief, but bound to who I say I am. So if
mm-hmm.
I don't do this, then you're not really this. But yet,
Yeah,
regardless of how you are negating who I am,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, I think so many things that we can unpack, Meg.
Can
But
I share one thing with you that
yeah,
really hurt me, or not hurt me, but it does, well, it does hurt me. It has hurt me in previous relationships.
yeah,
But I always felt like, and maybe you can help me unpack like what this means
okay,
as a friend. But I've always felt like when it comes to the great things that I can do in
mm-hmm.
relationships, right?
Yeah,
Um that was fine. Like, okay, you do great things, whatever. But the areas where I fell short,
mm-hmm.
my flaws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm human
Right, right,
and trash without God.
yeah.
And the further I'm away from Him, the more trash I
And the
am.
smellier
I
I get. I get
mean,
smelly.
I mean, woo, I'm
Yeah.
talking like teenage boy
Right.
underarms, no
Right.
deodorant. It's
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah, I get
right?
it. Uh-huh.
The further I am from God.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized last year, as I developed more intimacy with him, I realized how far I was away from him
Wow.
before.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, I feel like sometimes in relationships, what I've experienced is it's like the great qualities about myself and how I can show up and anticipate the needs and do all those things. Those were great. But
Mm-hmm.
then when the trash part of me
Yeah.
came up,
Uh-huh.
I was bound to that. That was who I was. But the
Mm.
good parts of me was just what I
Do you
did
mean that's who you were to that
to
person?
that person. Like,
Got it.
instead of saying like the bad things about you are who you are, the good things are just what you do.
Uh,
Instead of the
this is who
good
you
things
always were.
this is like, instead of looking at you and saying this is just who you are, the
Uh-huh.
good parts about you, that is who
Who
you
you
are
are.
too.
Yeah.
And the bad parts about you, yes, that is obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm observing this behavior, so that
That's
is
so true.
who you are too.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes in relationships, when we're offended,
Yeah. I've been convicted of that for sure.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's just that we see the negative and that's who you are. And we forget
Yeah.
that that's just a part of who they are,
Yeah.
right?
Like we're all flawed.
We're all
Yeah.
flawed.
I definitely experienced that with my best friend. I think I made the mistakes that she made, who she was, regardless of my
Yeah.
experience with her. Yeah, we don't really recall our experience with people once we're hurt. We filter
Yeah.
everything
Through
through
the
that hurt place.
offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the kicker of that is we end up releasing people from our lives that aren't necessarily time to release.
Mm.
It's not what God is calling us to do.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. How do you know when in the right time? How to
Mm-hmm.
identify a toxic relationship, a friendship,
Uh-huh.
and if it's a relationship that needs to end,
Yeah.
or we just need to reevaluate how we show up in this relationship? Because like you
Okay.
said, sometimes it's not like you have to end it. We just gonna do our relationship different now.
Yeah, right. I think conversation. We need to have more conversations. We need to talk. I think
Not subliminal on, not
yes,
tweeting
as
out stuff.
women, I think we do a great job at assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if I was to just use my best friend as an example, maybe she could have assumed Trinity's not gonna like show up for me like she used to because she's married now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so instead of like having a conversation like, what does our friendship look like now?
Mm-hmm.
It comes with emotional maturity, like you said. Like we're navigating to different spaces, right? Where I'm no longer a pre-K through fifth grade music teacher where I'm home all the time and I'm off on weekends and I'm off on spring break. Actually now I do this and this is how my life is navigating and I travel a lot, I do this.
Mm-hmm.
So our friendship looks different. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't think that means that I think what we do is we take our different seasons and we take things personal that aren't personal. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
personal. It's not. It's really
Yeah.
not personal.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we do that because we don't want to have conversations. We're afraid. We're intimidated.
Yeah.
We're afraid to be rejected in some sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of us have questions. That we just be honest, especially as women. We have questions for our friends, but we don't. We're afraid to talk.
Yeah.
And you
What
gotta
is
talk.
that? You
Yeah,
have to
you gotta
talk.
you gotta
I
talk.
said that. I think I
I can
said
tell
this
you what
like,
it is. We've always been encouraged not to talk from school until into adulthood. Think about
yeah,
it.
shh, be quiet.
Be
Yeah.
quiet. I have a
Mm-hmm.
whole. No, I was a teacher, so I hated that. I hated that. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it played into children who needed to say something but were afraid to talk.
Wow.
I haven't finished writing this theory. I always tell Brandon I'll be finished with it by the time I'm 40. But I'm 33 now, so I got 7 years. I'm working on this. But I think that it really plays a big part of that. Of even I'm a big now. People don't say this anymore, but I know I'll be the mom to say stay in a child's place.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in context, sometimes child when I heard that thing like stay in a child's place, it
Mm-hmm.
meant I can't speak to this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, I'm afraid that I will if this offends somebody,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not gonna say it. Like I think it
Mm-hmm.
may, and that plays into our adulthood,
Yeah.
and it's something that we have to work to undo.
Yeah.
We have to like we really do because I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it really plays into our mental and how we perceive conversation. It really does.
Yeah.
Society's always telling us, has always told us, especially millennials, be quiet.
Quiet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I think the reason why so many relationships are, and we're seeing it like crazy,
Uh huh.
like not just like we're seeing marriages fall apart, we're seeing friendships fall apart. It's
Absolutely.
like I'm in my DMs all the time, like I had my friend 20 years and we're not friends anymore and
Yeah.
it's been the hardest like all these things. And friendship and relationships end because when people just stop talking.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
we have to continue the conversation.
Mhm.
It's like we fall in love with each other
Yeah.
romantically and platonically,
Uh
and
huh.
then we just stop talking.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We stopped
Like we've been
saying,
doing life together, like literally doing life together,
and
and
we're
it's just
not
over.
talking.
Yeah.
And
It's
like
traumatic.
it
It's
is, it
traumatic.
is. And I want to do better. Like I'm so thankful that I have Jay and Jordan that are like the closest people to me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm able to really put into practice all the ways that I just was not a good friend.
Mhm.
Um before, and I
Yeah.
can put it into practice in real time. And one of my biggest things is feeling something and saying something.
Mhm.
I was our only child,
Yeah.
so I'm used to feeling things and
Mhm.
just being quiet
Yeah.
and just internalizing it.
Right.
And my mom,
Do you know sometimes that we make those people who internalize things bad friends? They're not necessarily bad friends, so they just don't know how to communicate.
I,
Some okay, so
because I so when I was listening to your book, I
uh huh,
thought I identify with the ghoster.
uh huh,
and a small part of the one, what was the one that was, yeah, the ghoster that doesn't want to take it, not you avoiding accountability.
Yeah. You
And
made me remember the
no,
line.
I did. That was the first thing. I was like, girl, not you avoiding accountability. I was like, ooh. And for me, it wasn't so much avoiding the accountability, because I can take accountability for
Mhm.
something, but I can't deal with rejection.
Uh-huh.
I cannot deal with that. I
Yeah.
can't deal with telling you how I feel and it getting dismissed.
Uh-huh.
That's when I'll ghost you.
Okay.
That's when I'll be like,
I
I'm
get
gonna
it.
make you, because my words obviously aren't enough. I think subconsciously that's how I used to think. Like, my
Mhm.
words aren't enough. So I'm gonna show you in my actions how
Uh-huh.
I feel.
Yeah.
That, and I hate it being fake.
Uh-huh.
I could not fathom the idea of smiling in your face knowing that I'm having an issue with you, but
Yeah.
I haven't been able to gather my words to articulate to you what
Yeah.
my offense is.
Yeah.
So, but I can't be fake
I
at
get
the
it.
same
I get
time.
it.
But that's not
I
maturity.
think it
That was me being immature.
so I think you get I I give you grace to ghost.
Okay.
I'll give you grace to ghost. Because sometimes I think a lot of times the ghoster gets the bad rap for not showing up, for going away, right? But I think a lot of times we don't take accountability as it pertains to the person trying, and then our response to them trying, and that being a blow.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is devastating.
That being
I
a
don't
blow.
think people
Yeah.
under it feels like rejection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it feels like the ultimate rejection
Yeah.
to, because one, I think because I am a person that can anticipate the needs for other
Mhm.
people, means that I have gotten into a practice of ignoring my own.
Mm.
And so then when I get to a place of being vulnerable and saying, "Hey, this actually hurt me."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Girl, it is not that deep. Okay, I'll do
Yeah.
it."
Yeah, no.
It's like,
It's absolutely as deep for me.